Hey everyone, Paulus here, welcome back. So we all know software is amazing. You can go in any forum and Facebook, anywhere, and everybody always talks about what software should I use for this, right? I think we all love software. It automates and makes easier a lot of the often mind-numbing tasks we used to have to hire others to do. But there are so many bits of software these days that it's easy to end up overwhelmed or simply buying too many unnecessary things. I see that a lot. So in this video, I'll walk you through what I consider to be the essential bits of software your company will need to scale fast and effectively. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, let's start with the story of the software that never gets used. So I will say of all the clients we work with, I would say most of them have about 10 to 20 softwares they're literally not using. Some have actually said, hey, can we hire you to go take the training to go implement the software for us? And so this is one of the biggest things that we see is that a lot of times we look at software as the end-all be-all solution to get our business to run without us. And I want you to think differently about software in this video. So the first thing I'm going to talk about for the first half of this video is around my philosophy of software and how I think you should be using it for your business. And then the second half of the video, we'll get tactical. We'll talk about different softwares to use and what's maybe the right type of software for your business depending on where you're at. Okay, so let's officially get started. So I want you to think of software as a gradient. The more easier it is to set something up, typically the more limited it is in customization. The harder something is to set up, then the more it can do in customization. And if you are aware, like the more customization you have to do, typically that requires a lot more time and money, and I can attest to that. Okay, so I want you to understand that software is an appendage to, not a replacement for process. This is something I had to learn a lot of. I love software. I spent in the early stages of my business, hours and hours researching software, trying to find the end all be all that was going to solve my problem. And I probably tested, I would say close to 100 CRMs. You're probably like, yeah, right, Mia. No, I really did. I loved CRMs. I love software. And I was like, I need that because it's going to solve all my problems. But if I was small enough and lean enough, I should have just focused on figuring out what is the process I want it to be. And then start. The sooner you start, the better, because not until you start can you flesh out what the process should be. And so a lot of times before you really implement software and technology, doing a process manually is super important. So in the early stages, look at software as more of a data component, like you're using it to house data, not necessarily to make your process easier. But think of process as a secondary part to software once you've already manually done the process. So hopefully that makes sense. Which kind of leads me to the next thing. After you've kind of manually done the process and know what it is, visually map out the process. We use something called Miro, and there's a free version of it, and you can literally create different templates and map out what the process is for your customer journey, your employee journey, your content journey. Like there's different journeys that are part of your business, and just having a visual around that helps. So that way when you actually get to the software, you know how to actually implement it and use it. And I see that a lot where people just buy it thinking it is. I mean, you can just, again, go read forums and Facebook groups, and it's the most common question. What software should I use for this? Who uses this software? What software is the best? And we're just hungry for something that's going to solve our problems. So hopefully if you've watched these videos, you realize that I challenge a lot of the status quos out there on purpose because it's not helping us. We're not any more productive today than we were 15 years ago. So I'm purposely challenging a lot of the status quos out there because what we're doing now is broken. So if you've heard me talk about this Venn diagram of people, process, technology, that is really what creates a system in business. And it's not just software. There's three components: people, process, and technology. So just remember that as you're building things. Software is just one component of three when building a system. So that's going to help you stay grounded that the software is not going to be the end-all be-all solution. Okay, so before we dig into the types of software that you can use to implement in your company, if you want to see more videos like this, I would love it if you would like and subscribe. Obviously, I'm super passionate about helping businesses really get unstuck, get to that next level of business, create sustainable wealth building companies that can grow without them. Really my version of what a true lifestyle entrepreneur should be. Instead of we've created these businesses that are really your glorified employee, I want to get you to the next level. I always say it's so much easier to go really big as a company or stay really small. So if that's your goal, is to be a one-man shop and stay really small, that's way easier than staying in this middle ground that I see 80% of businesses get stuck in, and they're just unhappy, not passionate anymore. And so if you want to see more videos like this, I do all my videos around this content. I would love it if you like and subscribe, show this to other entrepreneurs. It really helps on my channel, get it growing, because I really want to bring this messaging out to the world. Okay, so there's obviously thousands of softwares out there, probably millions of softwares out there is probably a better way to describe it. And I want to first talk about kind of software over the years and how it's evolved. And when software really, the SaaS world really started to boom around 2006 forward, it was interesting because everything was super niched. I remember I was one of the first people to buy Salesforce back in the day. And I was super frustrated because my brain can see all the details and all the things I want in a software. And like Salesforce was really good at one thing, but like to invoice, it was like, well, how do I get an invoice out after it's in the CRM system? And like, I really hated the feel of this disjointed system where software couldn't just be one continuous flow. I probably had really high hopes back in 2006, but that was just the reality of the SaaS world. And I got out of it as quickly as possible. And I eventually came back into the SaaS world when it had caught up with where I wanted it to be. But if you think about the niche craze, niching's again great for revenue, bad for operations, because what happened was all of these softwares niched down and they were able to grow their businesses faster because they were able to solve one small problem for one specific customer. And that is great for building traction really fast because you can target a very specific audience and use less marketing dollars. So that's why people do it. And it works. And I recommend you do it too. But when it comes to your back-end operations, it's been kind of hell for us a little bit because we've had to stitch with Zapier, all these different softwares together. And so over the years, that's what we've had to do. But now I'm so excited because there's a trend now to do more in one software. Now, even if you went into Mailchimp, which was a super niche software of email automation, now you can do funnel builds in there and you can create different landing pages and different things within Mailchimp. We are in Salesforce because we have a behemoth of a company and a backend that you wouldn't ever want to see. But with it, we have so many different pieces. But Salesforce has really started to focus on the customer experience, the employee experience, and the strategic partner experience, which I love because those are the three things I always talk about that our company helps solve and do. But Salesforce is actually developing that from a software perspective. Hubspot, which I think Salesforce is an owner in, is doing the same thing. So I look at Salesforce as like the enterprise level. Then you got Hubspot, which is kind of that mid-tier level, doing a lot of the same things. And then kind of the other big one out there that I've noticed recently people talking about is ClickUp. And it's something that I know we have clients in. I haven't dug into it a lot, but ClickUp, I think, is becoming popular because it's a CRM and a project management system in one. I think before people would have Asana and Trello over here, and then they had to have a CRM over here, or maybe an email automation software over here. And so you're seeing the softwares that people are talking about the most are ones where they can do multiple things together. So if you're not familiar with what a CRM is, I was kind of using that term kind of loosely, like you probably knew what it was, but if you're not familiar with it, it stands for Customer Relationship Management. It is a great way to track all your customers, what's happening with your customers, different data points with your customers, the sales process, the pipeline, things like that can all be done within a CRM. But a lot of times your project management system to manage your projects and your programs and things would be outside of that. And so if you really are in the business where a project management system is needed, especially service-based companies, having those two together is, to me, life-changing. In Salesforce, we use something called Inspire Planner, which is natively built within Salesforce that's pieced into our Salesforce operation. And back just 2 years ago, we were stitched in like 4 different softwares. I was getting so frustrated because getting data was so hard. So I'm like, I will give Salesforce all my money. Here you go. I just want all my data in one place. I want all my systems in one place. And that's what we did. And it's been, a couple years of just hard work and a lot of money to build the back end, but we're seeing the fruits of it now. In fact, I just got my first Salesforce login after 6 months of not logging in. That just shows how my team is super amazing, because if I'm not even logged into our main system and don't even know how to use it, that's probably a good thing, right? So I just got my login yesterday because now I can go in and actually see dashboards that are going to be valuable for me instead of my team having to stitch data together and frameworks to be able to show me the data. So I never really answered the question though of what software is best for you. You're not going to like it, but it depends. And the reason is because I kind of talked about earlier about that gradient. The more cookie cutter it is, the less customization you can do and the cheaper it's going to be. But you're going to find limitations on what it can and can't do for you. But if you don't have a lot of time or money, you need to start with that. And you're never going to find one software that is perfect for you. Salesforce, we're trying to get it perfect for us, but I can tell you, I've probably dumped about $500,000 into the development of it so far. And so it doesn't come without a price tag when you get into enterprise custom stuff. And so you want to make sure like, hey, I can do whatever I want here. But literally Salesforce gives you components and says, hey, go build it yourself. You're like, really? I just spent all this money on it and you want me to go build all the components? Yep, that's what they make you do. But that's why people buy it, because it is fully customized. And so you kind of have to look at your time and money, like how much time do I have and how much money do I have? You're going to want just find more of the cookie cutter. Now, this is what I highly, highly recommend. Don't use new software because they won't have API integration with it. They haven't fleshed out a lot. Do not be an early adopter of new software for your business. It just is a bad way to go. As long as you choose one of the mainstream CRMs, project management systems out there, you're going to be okay. Like which one is best depends on which type of interface you like. But at the end of the day, they functionally probably do all the same things. We are in probably hundreds of different softwares now for our company. And we just are good at CRMs because they all navigate the same way anymore. If you're a smart software developer, they actually purposely navigate it similar to other softwares because as humans, we get used to navigating the same way. And so usually Google will lead the curve on that. And then whatever Google's doing, like other people will develop that same type of navigation. And so just Google, most popular CRM softwares or something like, and then just start testing out some of them and see what resonates with you. Or like I talked about earlier in the video about mapping out your journey. If you do that, then you can kind of see what software matches to the journey that you have. Okay. And then for project management, I love Trello. I love Asana, but the thing is, as you grow, those will cap out those because there's not a lot of QA, like people can just delete cards, things like that. You're not getting a lot of data points from it. And so we outgrew Trello really fast, but when you're starting, like it's great. I still use Trello for vision boards and for my own personal task list. So when you're small, don't overthink it. You don't need an enterprise level software, but you also don't want to be changing 3 months later either. So if you're pretty confident, you have enough capital, you have a pretty good solid growth plan, maybe you've grown a business before and you're pretty confident in your abilities, maybe you want to start a little more mid-tier. HubSpot, even Salesforce, you could scale a lower version if you're willing to kind of grow within it. So just kind of balance your time and your money resources that you have. Okay, now let's dig into the last two that I wanted to briefly talk about for types of software. One is related to instant communication or direct messaging. Anymore, there's so much virtual communication going on, it's really hard to live without it. Even if you are a brick and mortar company, a lot of time you're communicating with staff that might be overseas or virtually. In the olden days, people didn't really do that, but now it's very common to have a hybrid team in-house and outsourced. Or so you really want to have some type of communication system like Slack. We use Slack. It's really the most mainstream out there. It's really just use Slack at the end of the day because Salesforce bought Slack. It's not going away anytime soon. The whole world's on it. But also if you need just kind of a walkie-talkie type version, if you're out and about, Voxer is really great for that kind of stuff. Okay, and the third piece of a really important software to have is just a basic accounting software. I'm not even going to give you options. Use QuickBooks Online. Everybody uses it. Everything connects to it. Everybody knows how to use it. Don't try to complicate business. Just use software that's mainstream. I think we overthink it a little bit too much sometimes. QuickBooks Online. But here's my biggest recommendation. If you outsource anything, bookkeeping is so easy to outsource and so cheap to outsource. And most people don't know how to do it. And most people hate it that are visionaries. So go find somebody that can do your books if you're small for $200 to $500 a month, $3,000 to $4,000 a month if you're bigger. Just go have somebody do your books. It'll save you so much headache, and you don't have to learn QuickBooks Online. So that's just my recommendation. That's the low-hanging fruit to just get off your plate and not have to worry about. Again, so many people are so apprehensive to buy their time. If you buy it anywhere, start with that one. Okay, so we buy software obviously to help our time, right? Give us more freedom in our business. And so if you want to learn more about how to leverage your time and how to create the sustainable business to where it can grow and scale without you, I'm putting on a free 5-day event where we literally are going to mastermind your time. You can go to mastermindmytime.com and we literally are it's a 5-day event. It's pre-recorded and there's just a micro commitment each day. You'll be able to fit it in with your everyday schedule. And we really are going to start to teach you how to leverage your time and think differently about your time. Those that are the most successful in business are the ones that have mastered their time. So I'd love for you to go to mastermindmytime.com and I'll put it in the description for you to go to.